This happened back when I was 11 or 12 years old. It was the beginning of summer, and I begged my mom to go to the water park in the next town. She couldn't drive, so she arranged for her friend to drop me off and pick me back up after. I was a decent swimmer, and I had been alone a couple times before. My mom had given me the money for the admission and a little extra to get a drink and a snack from the vending machines. I arrived and got changed, putting my bag in a locker and strapping the key around my ankle. I couldn't wait to get on the slides. There weren't too many people there, as it was early evening around 6 p.m. So I got on all of the slides relatively quickly. My favorite was the river rapid slide. On this slide, you would slide down small sections of the slide, splashing into small pools in between. You were supposed to use a rubber ring, but most kids and some adults didn't bother. No one ever worked on the slides anyway, so it was a bit of a free-for-all. I went down the river rapid slide for the 4th or 5th time, and I splashed into the first pool. I mucked around here for a bit, before wading towards the next section of the slide. I was completely alone on this slide, or so I thought. The next pool after this section of the slide was a dark and closed section. I like to sit in there sometimes and relax before finishing the ride. However, this time, someone was already in there. A larger woman in her 30s or 40s lay on her stomach with her feet over the last section of the slide, her head peeking above the water. She was cackling loudly, a hysterical, guttural laugh. She looked me both in the eyes and pushed herself down the last section of slide, still laughing as it echoed off the walls. I was thoroughly freaked out, and I waited 5 minutes before sliding down, so I hopefully didn't encounter her at the bottom. Presuming it was a random freaky coincidence, I went straight back on the slide. Again, no one else was around. I rode the first section normally before apprehensively sliding the second section into the dark cave pool, and I heard it again, that creepy, genuine, hysterical laughter. There she was, the same woman from before, grinning and laughing while staring straight at me. She again flushed herself down the slide, leaving me alone. I decided I wasn't going to ride the river rapid slide again that visit. She petrified me. I decided to go on the black hole next. It was a one-person slide. You were supposed to wait for the light to go green before sliding, so I figured I would be okay. I say supposed to. I flung myself in the black abyss on the tube ride. However, I heard a second thud behind me. I turned around, and in the darkness, my worst fears were concerned. I saw the shadowy figure of an overweight middle-aged woman following me down the slide. And once again, she started laughing loudly and hard. The kind of laugh where you can barely pause for breath. As if you have seen the funniest show or meme you could imagine. I have never been more terrified in my life. I panicked, slamming my hands down on the floor of the slide and pushing in an attempt to make myself go faster. It worked a little bit, but she was never far behind, cackling away. When I reached the bottom, I threw myself out of the landing strip area, grazing my knee. I ran to the changing rooms, not looking back. I locked myself in a stall and I removed the key from my ankle before running out to grab my stuff, and I went straight back in. I got changed and I bolted from the building and called my mom. She sent her friend to pick me up right away. When I was around 7 or 8, my family and I went on holiday to Gran Canaria, one of the Canary Islands. And during this holiday, we visited a rather large water park just outside of Puerto Rico, a region of Gran Can. Now this water park was big, like 4 sections with about 5 slides per area. So we were at the park having fun going down slides, but as I was young, I mainly kept to the smaller kids slides and little wave pools, and sometimes venturing to the medium slides with my dad, but after a while, my parents wanted to go on the biggest slides, so left me and my younger brother in care of my uncle, who was playing with my cousin and the kids in the pool. I told my uncle that I was going to go to the medium slides, which were in viewing distance from the kids' pool, so he allowed it, and off I went. After a while, I thought to go back to the kids' pool, where our loungers were, to check up with my uncle and see if my parents had returned, but when I got back, nothing. Couldn't find anyone, and me being 7 at the time panicked a bit, while going off in the direction of the big slides to find my parents. After a while of walking about, probably looking a little distressed, a kind of chubby but not overweight Englishman comes up to me. I'm Scottish, and asks if I'm okay. At first he seemed nice and offered to help me look for my mom, but me being brought up the way I was, told him that he was a stranger and that I wasn't allowed to talk to him. and I walked off still on my search. A few minutes later, I see him again. In hindsight, he was probably following me, and he approaches me again and offers to take me for popcorn and a drink while I waited for my parents, to which I again say no, as my mom says I'm not allowed to go off with strangers. It was at this point when I see a lifeguard and walk over to him for help. I talk to the lifeguard, saying that I need to find my parents and that we were over by the kids area, when the man appears, begins telling the lifeguard that he's a family friend and he would take me back to where we were. The lifeguard caught my "that's a lie" face that all young kids have and asked me if I know the man, to which I said no, and the lifeguard offers to walk me back to where my family was, which I obviously take up as I am now a bit scared of the man. The lifeguard takes me back to our sunbeds where my mom and dad were, and I could tell that my mom was upset, which I will elaborate on. Anyway, the lifeguard tells my parents what happened and that he'll look out for the guy, so he doesn't bother us again. I don't remember much after just getting lost in the park and the now creepy English guy. So when I was old enough to understand, my mom told me why she was upset when they didn't know where I was, other than the fact that their son was just alone. Earlier that year in Portugal, the very real disappearance of a girl really hit the UK in a big way. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name, and many people were fearful of going abroad on holiday. I sometimes think about how I could have been the second little kid to go missing that year, and even though it's been over 10 years, it still freaks me out to talk about. I was recently thinking about this, and after sharing this story with my family and seeing their concern, I thought I would share it with you all. When I was 8, my family decided to take a summer vacation and take us to a big famous water park a couple of hours away from home. It was me, my older sister, who was 11 at the time, my little sister, who was 5, and my uncle who was paraplegic, and his girlfriend. We get to the water park, and my uncle and his girlfriend end up staying at the cabanas at the very entrance of the water park, due to the fact that it was the only place with shade, and he had no intentions of getting in the water with his wheelchair. So they let us go off on our own all day. Big mistake. Since there were only either single or double person tubes, my older sister decided to get on one with my younger sister, and let me get on one alone, but just hold on to theirs. And that worked for a little while, but we got on the lazy river that went around the whole park, and at the end of the river, they made it like very fast and crazy, with waves crashing into you and stuff. I ended up letting go of their tube and flipping out of mine. By the time I even realized it, I had lost them. I thought it was no big deal and I'd find them soon again. So I'm trying to get back on my tube, and for some reason, I just can't do it. A man notices me struggling and decides to come help me. I finally get in and thank him and try to float away, but he hasn't let go of my tube. Instead, he starts talking with me and asking me why I'm all alone. I explain that I lost my sisters, and he suggests that he gets on the tube with me, because he doesn't want me to get lost or drown. I say okay, and we get on a tube together. He starts forcing me to ride all the slides with him. He talks to me about how his hotel room is not far and how he has a whole bunch of toys I would love to play with. I actually started getting interested because I don't have many toys, and the ones I do have are broken from my sisters. He says that we can get on one last slide and we can head over after, so I agree. While waiting in the line, he starts acting real giddy and weird. He kept swimming under our tube and would play with my feet and legs and told me they were really pretty. There was a young couple behind us who was watching this unfold, and I guess they could see the discomfort in my face, because they tapped me on my shoulder to ask if I was okay, and if I knew this man. He tried answering for me, but they cut him off and said they were talking to me. I reassured them that I was okay, but it was seeing the look on their face that made something click in my head and say that whatever was going on with this man was not okay. Once we got off the slide, I told him that I had to go, and once we got to the opening of the river, I wanted to just get on a single tube by myself, because I needed to find my sisters. He tells me that I can't do that and that he needs to watch me so I can't leave him. For some reason, as soon as he said that, this fear just came over me and I ducked out of the tube, and I just started swimming. When I looked back, he was right on my tail swimming after me. I ended up swimming to the entrance of the river and got on a single tube, which he ended up grabbing and flipping me out of, saying I needed to get on a double tube with him. I did not feel safe anymore, so I ended up running out and running to my uncle and his girlfriend. I didn't tell them what happened, just that I got tired of being in the water. After sitting there for a while, I saw no signs of the man, and thankfully, my sisters made it back to the cabana safe and sound, and we all left together. So let's go back to the summer of 2009, where I've just turned 13. Like any unpopular teenager, I decided to have my few friends with me to spend my birthday party at the swimming pool, maybe 45 minutes away from the area where I live. It was a pretty nice pool with the kids area and some rapids, which are really more of a lazy river type deal. I used to go there all the time, but I haven't been there since, for reasons you'll understand. Anyway, my friends and I have spent a fun-filled couple of hours in the pool when the time comes to leave and maybe head back to my house to eat cake and ice cream and all of that crap that teens eat at birthdays. As you do, we headed into the showers and then into the changing rooms. The changing rooms of this pool are those stalls which aren't floor-to-ceiling walls, with gaps at the bottom and top. They're about 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters, and there's a bench opposite the door. At the age of 13, I was a really slow changer, but in a group of friends who were mostly girls including myself, there wasn't much difference. So I'm getting changed. I'm sitting there in my towel, just about to start putting my underwear on when I hear something. It probably would have avoided a lot of shit if I just looked up then, but hey, I was getting changed and I was concentrating. It's when I finally got my underwear on that I look up, and I unfortunately lock eyes with a guy who has his head between the wall and the ceiling. Like literally, he has jammed his head over the wall to look at me. A young teenage girl changing. And I'm shocked, because what the heck do you do in this situation? He pulls his head back when he realizes I've seen him and I feel sick. I have chills up and down my neck as I try and get dressed as fast as I can. My skin crawled. It was absolutely awful. But the story does not end here. Fast forward through a couple of minutes of the fastest change of my life, and now I'm fully clothed with one trainer on and the other in my hand. I have no idea what I'm doing now, but I'm pretty sure he's going to come back. So I put myself on the bench, crouched in a stance I'm sure any action hero would be proud of. Lo and behold, back comes his face, jammed back in this tiny gap. It must have hurt, but apparently sacrifices have to be made in the pursuit of inappropriate staring. This time though, I'm damn ready. I don't know whether anyone here has ever had a hard shoe sole forcibly jammed into their eye and nose twice in a row, but it looked painful. I hope it was bloody painful, at least. That was basically it from him. I put on my shoes and I walked out calmly to my friends, and then we met my parents at the doors. I didn't tell any of them, not even when I passed him out in the reception. He didn't see me, but I saw him, and let me tell you, my greatest regret nowadays was that I didn't tell my dad right then and watch him slug the asshole in the face. I regret it so much you have no idea. It should probably bother me more than it does and has, but I think the fact that I never told anyone bothers me the most. All it does now is keep me up at nights like this and make me feel a little sick sometimes. So I was a security guard for this local company in my area. I was assigned to a water park with another guard who was often there keeping watch. He was to train me and show me around and tell me what codes opened what doors. I first noticed how quick he was to enter and leave the property. He never wanted to spend more than 10 minutes inside the property before he would be eager to leave. Our first night was simple. There was nothing exciting or interesting going on, so our night dragged. After a few hours, I asked him if he'd experienced anything unusual while working here. He told me he's had some problems with people trying to enter the property without permission, but that's about it. He also told me he hated working there because of his encounters with these people. He said they creeped him out because of how sneaky they were. He didn't really want to tell me much because he was afraid I would leave the post. That should have been a red flag for me, but I was too excited to let anything like that scare me. A few more hours later, and our shift is over, so we clock out and go home for the day. The next night, my boss calls me to explain that the security guard, my partner, had resigned. I was a little upset now because I was to work a two-man post all by myself with barely any knowledge on the place. Fast forward a few weeks, I started to get the hang of the place and I created my own routine with no issues at all. No break-ins, no vandalism, nothing. It's now 2 a.m. and I was outside at the front of the property completing my rounds when I heard a door slam from inside. I jumped because of how loud it was. As I started to walk back into the property, I continued to hear doors opening and closing. I could feel myself getting nervous because it was the first situation I've ever had in this place. as I walk inside and started to check the doors and complete a round to make sure there was no one on the property. I get to this corridor where there was a set of stairs that led to a door that was wide open. I walked down the stairs to close and lock the door because I was too scared to take a look inside. As I turned around to head back up the stairs, I noticed a man dressed in all black standing at the top of them. I take a step back and realize I'm cornered. If he was to try anything, I would have nowhere to run or hide. So I politely asked him if he needed any help, but he didn't reply. I then asked him how he got into the property, but he still didn't reply. He slowly turned his head and snapped his fingers. Then from the left side of the staircase, another man slowly crawled to his side like a dog on all fours. I then turned around and kicked the door open and ran inside and locked myself in the bathroom as I called my boss and then told them what I witnessed. They sent an armed security guard to my position to complete a walkthrough to make sure I was safe. As I got the call that the area was clear, I came out and told them everything from start to finish. I realized that they didn't believe me, so I clocked out and went home for the night. The next morning, I received a call from my boss explaining that they checked the security footage from the night before, and what they told me horrified me. Every hour when I would complete my rounds inside the property, those same two men would follow me through the facility as if they were stalking me, like as if it was a game to them. After that, I asked for a new position because I was too horrified to work at that water park. I now know why my trainer didn't want to work there anymore.